Today we're going to be talking about flight school dilemmas, which is interesting, what's happening in the flight school market, how this is having an effect on the private jet market and also on the airline market as well. So lots of content here on BizJet TV. If it's your first time, welcome to the channel. Also, we've got the Diamond membership, which has been launched. Subscribers only at the Diamond level. You can click on there, become a Diamond member. You'll have access to a lot more videos and a lot more information there exclusively for Diamond members, and give me a super chat if you really enjoyed this video at the end of it. That's all from me on this intro. My name is Fabrizio, Poli, your aviation advisor. Let's get into today's episode about flight school dilemmas. So, recently, an interesting article came out in Aviation Week talking about this subject, saying that the student dropout rate for professional pilots is on the increase. So more people have started and then decided to drop out along the way because they just can't sustain it, either financially or they just haven't got enough time to study university or college, as you call it in America, and also to study to become a pilot. And at the end of the day, $120,000 to $150,000 investment to become a pilot, you know, it takes a long time to recuperate that because the pilot pay isn't that much. Even though pilot pay has gone up a little bit, but not enough to justify the investment, at least for most people. There's a lot of other professions out there today and business opportunities that younger people are looking at instead of becoming a professional pilot. And this is becoming a big problem. But on the other end, flight schools have seen a major surge in people learning to fly. People going for sports license and private pilot certification. And this is happening because people are looking around and they're saying, you know what? And just like one of my clients has decided to learn to fly and buy himself a Cirrus SR22 and fly himself around to different locations for business. And of course, you know, it's a business. The acquisition of the aircraft is a business expense, and so is the operation of the aircraft a business expense. So you can write all that off. So if you've always wanted to fly and you've had this passion and your business can pay for it, why not? Go for it. And this is the trend that's happening right now, in particular in the United States. But, you know, just taking up flying as a hobby can be quite expensive. I mean, we're talking $150 an hour these days to rent a Cessna 172. Then you've got to add fuel. You've got to add an instructor. And so that adds up to about $250 an hour altogether, which is quite expensive. If you're going to fly a couple of hours a month, you know, that's quite a bit of money. So, you know, you have to add that into there. Now, a CFI is a certified flight instructor. And if you do decide to fly as a hobby, or even if you do decide to buy an aircraft as a pilot owner, I do recommend flying with an instructor at least once or twice a month, just to sort of keep you in check. And also I do advise you in doing some aerobatics and also upset recovery training. Even if you're operating an aircraft like a Cirrus S22, which has a parachute, you know, you'll be a better pilot for it. It'll give you more confidence. And I think that's really, really important. So these are things you need to look into when you're buying an aircraft. You need to look at this kind of thing as well. Now, obviously, there's problems now with pilot shortage. So some of the regional airlines have decided to reduce the number of seats from 50 to 30 seats, because if they do this, they can then operate the airplane under Part 135 instead of Part 121. Now, the difference in this is Part 121 is airline operations, Part 135 is like charter, air taxi operations. At Part 135, the co-pilot requirement is a lot less. Otherwise, for Part 121, you have to have minimum 1,500 hours to act as a co-pilot. So this is kind of a limit. So some of these regional airlines, and SkyWest is one of them, is looking at doing this, and they're already transforming some of their CRJ200s into 30-seaters in order to be able to do this. So this obviously is going to be a loss for them, but it gives them the opportunity to bring in guys straight out of flight school, straight into the right-hand seat as a co-pilot, and allow them to fly and get the hours from 250 hours, which is the minimum requirement for commercial pilot's license, all the way up to 1,500 quite quickly, and then to be able to bring them into the regional airline and into the main airline. So this is a good thing because it's a fast track for these young people. But, you know, not all the regional airlines are going to be doing this. So, you know, this is one of the reasons why young people, they're saying, okay, well, I spend $120,000 to become a commercial pilot. Then how do I get from 250 hours to 1,500? Yes, you can become a flight instructor. But, you know, hours as a flight instructor means you're sitting in a small Cessna and you're not even doing the flying because the other guy's doing the flying. You're teaching them. Yes, you'll learn something, but those hours in a small Cessna, flying at low altitude, at slow speeds, is not going to really increase your skill that much to be able to go in and fly a jet. I mean, here in Europe, we do things a bit differently, and you do have people with 200 hours flying 737s, because the way the system is, the training system is done, we get people into the cockpit, and some people even become captains of 737s at just 3,500 hours total time. And they do a good job. Boeing have checked some of these guys out, and they're quite, not shocked, but, they're sort of positively impressed that these guys do a good job. I still think it's a bit early to turn someone into captain with just 3,500 hours, and it's not so much the hours, it's also some of these guys becoming airline captains, with flying aircraft like 737 with 180 plus seats, responsible for all these people at the ages of 23, 24 years old. I still think that's very young as experience. But, going back to the private jet front, the advantage you have if you're looking at buying a private jet and hiring your own pilots, you can go for guys that have retired from the airlines that are over 65. So you now got access of that pilot pool, and you've also got access to guys coming out of flight school. So you could easily team up a young 22-year-old with 250 hours with an experienced 67-year-old, 20,000, 25,000 hour former airline captain. Put those two together, and so the young guy gets trained and mentored by the experienced guy, and the experienced guy gets to continue flying. But you need good people operating your private jet, and good people come when they see the money. And it's not just the money, it's the health package that you give them, which is going to be important. It's how many days off, the type of flying, how many days are they going to spend at home, how many days are they going to spend on the road. If you're buying one of these larger aircraft, you want to maybe get yourself enough pilots to allow a roster pattern, which is maybe 3 weeks on, 3 weeks off. So it does guarantee a certain number of days at home. This is something which is a big toll on pilots and their families. And this is another thing which a lot of young people are looking into. And today with social media, you can connect with people. There's a lot more information out there about the career of an airline pilot. And that's why a lot of young people today, as they go or they contemplate becoming an airline pilot, there's a lot more information about the real deal at the end of the day. What's it really like to work for a major airline? How many days off do you get? How much money do you really earn? How long does it take to get up to that kind of money? This is information which today is readily available. And so unless we see an increase in pilot salaries, we're gonna see this problem still sit there and be a problem. The problem, or let's say the solution to it, is the eVTOL market, the electrical vertical takeoff and landing. These vehicles will be coming shortly in the next 3 to 5 years. They'll be coming to the skies, and they're going to offer opportunities for pilots to take on those kind of jobs, which is almost like being a taxi driver, where you go to work in the morning, you come home at night, you fly around the city, flying people back and forth in these electrical vertical takeoff and landing aircraft. And this also will open up opportunities for flight schools. A lot of these vehicles will be electric. There'll be lots of simulators available, virtual reality training as well. And so I should imagine that to qualify as a commercial pilot for this kind of thing, the price may come down a little bit, but also the earnings will probably increase because these vehicles will be flying more. So there'll be more revenue coming in. And so that kind of will adjust a little bit the market. So that's an opportunity. So if you're a young person looking at getting into flying as a profession, that's something to look forward to coming down the line. And this may help with the pilot shortage as well, because someone can spend some time being a pilot of an eVTOL aircraft and then move into the airlines afterwards. So this may be the solution to the pilot shortage. But the flight school dilemma right now, this is what's happening. So if you are a flight school, maybe look into becoming eVTOL certified, look at maybe operating electric aircraft to give cheaper options to people and using more simulators. That's certainly the way I would go. And if you are looking at getting into flying, whether as a hobby or as a professional pilot, remember your aerobatics training. Really, really important, your upset recovery training. That's something I'd be doing every 6 months, just to be able to recognize these situations. Prevent them, number one. Number two, if you do get into a situation like that, you know how to get out of it. Safety, you understand the aerodynamics behind it. You understand the weather. You understand, certain weather situations could put you into upset recovery. How to recognize these upset recovery situations and how to get out of them. These are all important factors which you can learn by putting yourself through the right training. So that's really, really important. So this is all about flight school dilemmas. Tell me what your take is on this. Love to hear the commentary below. Remember to give me a super chat if you enjoyed this. You can click on the link below for that one, and then Diamond subscriber membership, you get exclusive content. That's another one that may interest you. And also check out this other video on BizJet TV. Lots more information on here about private aviation. We're coming close to 500 videos here on BizJet TV. And thanks for watching. And that's all from Fabrizio Poli on this episode of BizJet TV. And I'll see you on the next one.